The fallout from transfer deadline day goes on as it emerged yesterday that Spurs have beaten Chelsea to the signing of not just one in Matthias Tell, but two European starlets. Meanwhile, Tottenham sporting director Johan Lange has spoken out to defend the club's inability to get an outfielder through the door until this week. And, as I've talked about in previous videos, agent Harry Kane did his work, and he's now revealed how happy he is for both Spurs and Matthias Tell to get their deal over the line. All this and more on today's edition of Transfer Deadline Day Roundup. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate all of your support and all of the chat in the comments at the moment, guys. I am now less than 900 subs away from 15,000. So if you like transfer chat, Premier League news chat, but always, of course, starting with my beloved Tottenham Hotspur, please do give me a subscribe. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's get started. And Spurs have signed Irish wonderkid Mason Melia in a £1.6 million deal plus some add-ons from St. Pat's in Ireland. He is a highly sought-after player. Manchester City tried to sign him last year, as did, as I mentioned in the opening, Chelsea, as well as Everton, Celtic and Bayer Leverkusen, who've all been interested. Due to Brexit rules, he can't start with the club until January 2026, which is the first window after his 18th birthday. So he'll stay in Ireland until then, but it's a contract until 2031. Now listen, I'm not going to pretend to say I've been scouting this player myself and I know a lot about him, but I have mentioned him in previous videos and I've had some unbelievable reports from some of my Irish fans who know about him and have watched him play. And of course, like everyone, since yesterday's news, I've been checking out the YouTube compilation clips, and he looks like quite a big boy, obviously very confident, strong on the ball, pretty good on the turn, really excellent finisher, but especially for his age, a very exciting talent. And once again, I'm just going to say it like I did in yesterday's video when we talked about the players that this week Tottenham have taken from Liverpool, from Chelsea, and Batty from Manchester City. It's so good that we are now investing in our academy. We are getting the players in from elsewhere to boost the academy because they are seeing that there is now a through route at Tottenham more than any other club, arguably, in the Premier League to get to the first team. They will have all looked at what happened last Thursday night against Elfsborg with the three academy graduates scoring goals in the first team in the Europa League and said, I want a piece of that. And previously, that hasn't been the case at Spurs, certainly not since the John McDermott days when he was bringing through the likes of Andros Townsend, Jake Livermore, Harry Kane, Ryan Mason, to name but a few. And all of those players went on to play for England. And this is where Tottenham need to be. The other thing I think that's really exciting about us bringing in some of the best talent from other clubs, especially other big clubs like Man City, like Chelsea, like Liverpool in this week's case, is that will mean that all the players who are up and coming around London, who I hate to say it, but it's true, over the last kind of 10 or 15 years, Arsenal have always had first dibs on. And you can see now with how well Lewis Skelly is doing at Arsenal, how well Saka has obviously done there, and others. The players around London now, and maybe, just on the outskirts of London, will look at Tottenham and look at Arsenal and they'll be like, oh, it's not just Arsenal I should think about going to, because actually Tottenham are bringing young players through to the first team and they're getting goals as well. So they'll have more options there, and I think as a result, Tottenham should start hoovering up some of the best young talent around London as well as further afield. So that is very exciting, and I don't know how you feel, let me know in the comments, but I think Tottenham is a club where we were kind of brought up on players coming through the academy. It's a huge part of what being a Tottenham fan is all about, to kind of support players who are one of your own, and to have players coming up through from having started very young at Tottenham Hotspur. So it's something I want to see more of. I want to see the next Ledley King. I want to see the next Harry Kane. And it's just one of the best things about being a football supporter is when someone who you know has played for your club since they were like 8 years old sometimes, or in this instance, 15 years old, comes up and makes it in the first team. And I think Tottenham are now putting plans in place to make them one of the best clubs to go to in terms of being young and hungry and talented. And also, just to finish this off, obviously, there's a manager in place now in Ange Postecoglou who is playing young players. The amount of minutes that Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray are getting. Now, listen, I know what some of you naysayers are going to say. Would they have got this many minutes had there not been the injury crisis? Well, the answer to that is clearly no. But the reality is, I think Ange has been very consistent where he says, I'm not going to bring bodies into the club just because they're bodies to make up for it. I will play the young players. And he's investing in young players. You know, the, 15 million on Bergvall, the 40 million on Archie Gray. If Matthias Tell becomes a full-time signing, that'll be another £50 million on a teenager. So Tottenham is the club to go to, or at least one of the best clubs to go to right now for young, exciting talent. And I, for one, am here for it. Okay, some more news on the Matthias Tell deal. Chelsea tried to hijack that deal as the player was getting ready to fly to London on transfer deadline day. The attempt was in vain because by then the player had decided he wanted to join Spurs. One of the main reasons is that he wants to get game time. He obviously had his big move from France to Bayern Munich, and he hasn't played all that many minutes there over a couple of years, and now he wants to go somewhere where he's going to get game time. And with Chelsea's options in that forward line, Neto, Sancho, to name just a couple, Madueke, obviously, and Nkunku doesn't get any game time there. I think Tell looked at it and said, no, I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to get game time, and that's perfect for us as well, I think, because let's face it, we've had far too many games this season where Timo Werner has played for Tottenham, and now I don't think that's going to happen again. I know Timo's injured at the moment, and like I said, I don't hate Timo, he's a nice guy, he's just got no confidence, but we need better quality in that forward line, and not only to go straight in, but also to put pressure on those players who have played a lot of minutes this season. Brennan Johnson's coming back from an injury, and towards the back end, before he got injured, he was very much in the red zone. You could see it. Every time he was playing, he was just so leggy and so tired, and he just played far too many minutes for a kid of his age. I know he came for big money, but he's still incredibly young and raw. What is he, like 21, 22? So, in terms of putting pressure on those players who have started far too many minutes, Son Heung-min you can add into that as well. Bringing Tell in right now is absolutely massive, and I can see why he chose to join Spurs ahead of Chelsea for sure, and I think it's going to be really good for Tottenham that he did. Matthias also said this, he said, I spoke with my good friend Wilson Odobert, he told me you have to come here, Agent Wilson. That's what I'm talking about. Matthias went on to say about why he joined Spurs. I chose Tottenham because that was the best option for me, what was important for me. I felt the commitment. I spoke to Daniel Levy, talked with the manager. I'm young, I've started to grow up, and this was the best option for me, and I'm very happy. I'm very excited to play with my teammates, for the fans. That's a new challenge for me, a new chapter to open. I'm very excited about it. I play every moment and every game with my heart. I live with this pressure. I always have to push myself to go up and to look forward. He strikes me, Matthias Tell, as a very ambitious young man. As I mentioned yesterday, obviously he was in the Clairefontaine Academy, which is the French national academy that brought up the likes of Zinedine Zidane and many, many others, Emmanuel Petit, Patrick Vieira, to name but a few from their original 1998 first World Cup winning team, and Ousmane Dembele more recently as well. But, you know, he just strikes me like he's very ambitious. He's realised that once Harry Kane went to Bayern Munich, nobody is ousting Harry Kane. And actually, I was listening to The Fighting Cock yesterday. If you don't listen to The Fighting Cock, make sure you do. But Flav made a really good point on it, who's the presenter, if you don't listen to it. He said, listen, Spurs really suffered for a number of years because it was very difficult for them to find a player who would join as a backup for Harry Kane. Because Harry Kane, when fit, would play all the games, wanted to play all the games, very sturdy as a player who would always kind of get you at least 30 games a year, 30 Premier League games a year. Now, he would have a few ankle injuries, as Flav was saying, and that's true, and therefore we were always looking for potential players who could come in for him, but it never really worked out. I'd say the best one, probably Fernando Llorente, because he was at an age where he was happy to be on the bench, but, you know, we tried it with Vincent Janssen, didn't we, for instance? Just didn't really work out for any of those strikers who were trying to play second fiddle to Harry Kane. And that's clearly something that Matthias Tell has struggled with since Harry Kane has joined Bayern Munich. And it makes perfect sense. He's a young kid, but he's never going to get in the team ahead of Kane. Kane is such a focal point. He's such an elite finisher. He's also an elite number 10 who can mix up his play and go deep and bring other people into it. So he hasn't played a lot of minutes and he needed to go somewhere. And I think, well, as I'll tell you in a few minutes' time, because I've got a message, not a message, but Agent Harry Kane has talked about how pleased he is for Matthias Tell. But I think Harry Kane will have had a word with Matthias Tell and just been like, It's an opportunity for you to be one of the first names on the team sheet, to get some proper minutes in your legs, to get some rhythm, and to really play for a crowd who are going to appreciate you and play at a club that is going to offer you the chance to, get up to your best level of play. And I, for one, am excited about it. Some more news on how that deal happened. Daniel Levy flew to Munich last week. This is something Johan Lange was saying in his chat to Spurs Play. Daniel Levy flew to Munich last week because Johan Lange feared that his meeting and presentation with Matthias Tell hadn't had the desired effect. After meeting with Levy, Tell communicated that he wasn't going to join Spurs. That was on Friday. It was as much apparently about showing that he wouldn't be forced into something by Bayern Munich as it was about not being convinced by Tottenham. Now that's good news for Spurs, I think, because in reality we know that Bayern Munich still have money to pay off on the Harry Kane deal, and I've been saying it, for the last week, not whole week, but certainly since the Matthias Tell rumours started, that I thought Bayern Munich would try and push hard for Tell to come and join Tottenham on a permanent deal because of that. And it's clear that he's independent enough, Matthias Tell, even at the age of 19, to say, no, I'm not going to be pushed into something that I'm not fully sure about. I want to test the waters first with a loan. And that's absolutely fair enough. Then, on Sunday evening, it was when Ange Postecoglou spoke to Tell on the phone. Postecoglou apparently put forward how he planned to use him, expressed how much he valued his versatility and speed, and expressed that he thought Tell could torment Premier League defences with his qualities. Oh my God. I would love him to just come and hit the ground running and just be like, I want to show this entire league how good I am, and just want to beat players back and forth over and over again, whip in crosses, get to the byline, cut them back. I think he's got all the skills to be perfect for Ange Postecoglou. Do you know what I really want? Now, this is going to be a bit of one for the older Spurs fans, but back in the day, in the noughties, we got a player on loan from France called Stefan Dalmat. Now, he was a bit of a problem child. Matthias Tell, from everything we've heard, is not a problem child. But Dalmat had been around. He'd been at Inter, amongst other clubs. But my God, he came to Spurs and he started, just a couple of days after joining on loan. And he really was a tormentor. He was honestly one of the most incredible players I've ever seen play at White Hart Lane. He could do whatever he wanted. He had so much talent. It was unbelievable. And he was quick as well. But sadly, Stefan Dalmat's career at Spurs didn't last very long at all, because I think his discipline became a problem very quickly. I think there was a story that he had a fight with some of the players, maybe even a physical fight with some of the players in training, and unfortunately we weren't able to keep hold of him, and he wasn't able to play his best football for very long at all. But in that first game or two, my God, it was so exciting, and I just want Matthias Tell to be a similar kind of maverick, exciting player who just wants to, rip it up and play with confidence and, make some assists and score some goals. That's what I'm really excited about. Anyway, going back on to what Ange said to Tell on the phone. It was a long and concrete speech, and apparently it scored points with Tell, who appreciated the coach focusing on his plans for him on the pitch, as opposed to the project that the management tried to sway him with. On Monday morning, that was when, after that chat, the player decided to join Tottenham. Now, a lot of people on Spurs social media in the last few days have been saying how this is, basically Ange Postecoglou doing the jobs of three men, doing Levy's job, Johan Lange's job, and his own job. And one thing I will say for big Ange Postecoglou is he has an absolutely unmatched hit rate when it comes to getting on the phone or getting on Zoom with players he wants and persuading him as to why they should come and join Tottenham Hotspur under him. And Ange does have, and a lot of people have been saying this, and I agree, he does have this kind of Sir Alex Ferguson-esque quality to him when it comes to just being able to simplify things for players and make them feel keen to come and play the kind of football that he wants to play. And that is one of Ange's big positives. I've been very open about how much I love Ange. I'm desperate for it to work for him. My big fear for Ange is that he won't get enough players on the pitch to, who are in his first team to get the results that he needs. But one thing that you can never, ever say against Ange is his ability to impress players, to inspire them, to motivate them. And I just wish for Ange that he's able to get all of the players back from injury and that they stay fit. I don't want any more recurrences of injuries, because that is what I'm afraid might kill him towards the end of the season. But if we can get those players back fit and they stay fit, and then Tell can come in and Danso can come in and really hit the ground running, then it could be an unbelievable back end to this season. As I mentioned, agent Harry Kane has had some things to say about Tell joining Spurs. He said this: It's a great move for both parties. Mathias is a great guy and really hard-working. Excellent news. Obviously, for his potential, it's important for him to get some minutes under his belt and some regular game time and hopefully develop, keep improving and fulfill all that potential that he has. It's great for Tottenham to have a young, hungry player with loads of talent to hopefully score some goals and push them as far as possible. I'm wishing him all the best. I hope he has a fantastic time there. I know he will. I'm sure all the fans will make him feel really welcome as well. Guys, let me know in the comments, but are you with me that you can't help but thinking that once Harry Kane has won some trophies at Bayern Munich, he's desperate to come back to Spurs? I think that's definitely what he wants to happen. I'm not sure how he would fit in at Spurs realistically when we're going to have Dom Solanke still at the club over the next couple of years, but I'm here for it, even if it's kind of to wind down his career. Although I just don't see with Harry Kane, because he started so late in terms of getting proper game time at the elite level. He's not like Rooney, who was playing Premier League games at 16. Harry Kane had to wait till he was about 21, 22 before he got proper game time in the Premier League. And also, he's not a boozer. He's never been a party animal. He's only ever been about football, and he's been so disciplined. I can see him playing into, honestly, like 36, 37, 38. And maybe he'll do kind of what Shearer did, which is when he came back to Newcastle, he gave up international football, Alan Shearer, and then he just played on for Newcastle, and he didn't really have many legs then, but he was still scoring absolute worldies into like his 36th and 37th year. Remember, don't know if you don't remember, check out his volley against Everton that he scored when he was really old. And I could see Harry Kane doing something similar for Spurs. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Would you take Harry Kane back when he's won a few trophies at Bayern? I really hope it happens. Okay, some other news from deadline day and going forward. Liverpool and Arsenal are among the sides likely to join Tottenham in the race for Crystal Palace star Mark Gay, who we bigged for the weekend just before deadline day in the summer. Spurs launched a £70 million bid for the Palace skipper, which was rejected, and Chelsea and Newcastle will apparently also be in the race for his signature. That is one I can see going. I have to say, if it becomes a bidding war in the summer, I'm not sure Daniel Levy will want to be a big part of that. Be interesting to see how Kevin Danso does. That'll have a big sway on how much money we're willing to spend in the summer on a centre-back. But as we've talked about, and let me know what you think in the comments, do you think it's likely Christian Romero might leave? In which case, I think if Real Madrid are going to buy Christian Romero, and I think realistically they're probably the main club who are interested, they'll have to pay somewhere near £100 million, I think, for a World Cup winning player with 2 years on his contract. And that would leave us cash rich to potentially invest in another centre-back. So let's see what happens. Would you want Mark Gay to come in the summer if it looked like Christian Romero is going to leave? And what money would you want the club to get for Christian Romero if he was going to leave it in the summer? Okay, Johan Lange, the sporting director, has spoken on Spurs Play some more about the transfer window. He said this: "We signed a new goalkeeper, a new centre-back and a new forward player. So yes, overall we're very satisfied with that." But he was asked on fans questioning why business wasn't done sooner. He said, "That's a fair question. We are ready to do business on the 1st of January, but it's not as easy as that." And then Lange went on to cite the change in the format of the UEFA competitions as part of what made an already slow-moving window even more tedious across Europe this year. That makes sense. Listen, I'm not defending Lange because I know there's a lot of hate out there for him at the moment, a lot of anger, a lot of people saying over the last few weeks, what is he doing, and that he should be fired. But I do think it's worth the caveat of realising that this is the first year, because of the change in format in the Europa League and the Champions League, that European games have gone into January. So if you think about it, clubs are not going to be willing to let go of their players on the 1st of January because they're still wondering whether they're going to qualify for the next round of those UEFA competitions. And if they are, then they maybe don't need to make a sale. So I do wonder, and let me know what you think in the comments, do UEFA need to make a change to the transfer window and maybe bring it back to February or something like that? Or, I don't know, extend it? I don't know. Give me some thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. But that clearly is a problem. Basically, that first few weeks of the transfer window becomes void because clubs are waiting to see what happens in those European competitions. I guess with Kinski, it didn't really mean the same. I think his club maybe were out of Europe at that point. But also, because they're a kind of Eastern European club, the bid was just so huge for them that they had to accept. And obviously, Tottenham made that bid because they knew they needed a goalkeeper right then and right there. But in terms of getting the other players over the line, I'm afraid that does make sense, what Johan Lange was saying. So Let me know in the comments what you think needs to change, because I have to say, listen, when I was growing up, I'm old enough to remember there weren't transfer windows. Basically, you could buy players anytime at all, except until I think it was like the last month or two of the season. There was a transfer deadline kind of at the end. It was either the end of March or the beginning of April, and that was only until the last game of the season. And that's how big deals like the Andy Cole to Man United deal, they just came out of the blue, and it was so exciting back then. I don't know. I don't think the transfer window holds purpose anymore. I don't really see the point of it. I think they should just open it up and say clubs can buy players whenever they want. Johan Lange also revealed during that interview that he watched goalkeeper Antonin Kinski in person 12 times as part of the scouting process before signing him. And I think that's impressive. I don't think necessarily Lange had to admit that. I feel like that's his job. But I'm glad that he put that much into it, because I love Kinski. I think he's going to be the future of goalkeeping at this club. I do think now that Vicario will come back in, I think his shot-stopping ability is a big improvement on Kinski's. However, Kinski's aerial ability and his proactiveness from set pieces is something that I've been incredibly impressed with, and of course his distribution is far better than Vicario's as well. I think it'll be a close fight for them over the next year or two, and I do think maybe potentially eventually Kinski might take over from Vicario, because I do think he is the future of goalkeeping at our club for a long time to come. Our other new signing, Kevin Danso, the centre-back, has given some quotes on how he feels about joining Spurs. He says, "It feels amazing. I've always wanted to play for a big club in the Premier League, and Tottenham Hotspur is exactly that. I think as soon as you hear Spurs are interested, the only thing you can do is say yes. It's just an amazing project to be a part of, and I'm happy to be here. There's opportunities to win trophies. I think that is every kid's dream growing up, to win trophies at a club like Tottenham Hotspur." He's saying all the right things, Kevin Danso. And listen, I did a big video yesterday on the possibility that Mickey van der Ven is going to be out for a long time. I don't know what the latest is on that. I guess Ange Postecoglou will be doing a press conference today, and we will find out. But I wonder if either way, Kevin Danso is going to make his debut at Anfield tomorrow night in the second leg of that Carabao Cup semi-final. And I was listening to The View from the Lane, the podcast by The Athletic with Danny Kelly and James Moore, Charlie Eccleshare, Jack Pitt-Brooke. And there was a really good little interview with somebody who knows French football, who talked about Kevin Danso being an excellent fit for Tottenham Hotspur and for Ange Ball. Big, strong, pacey centre-back. Also, he grew up in England, in Milton Keynes. He moved here when he was 6, so he knows the language. He talks basically like he's from England, so there shouldn't be any problems adapting to the league and to coming over here. And yeah, he seems very excited, and I'm very excited to see him play. Jed Spence has had some quotes about his form at the moment. He says, "I back myself against any winger, Mo Salah or whoever. I back myself against anyone. It's been difficult this time at the moment, but we fight for the manager, we fight for the club, and we all believe in what he wants to do." I love Jed Spence's confidence. I hope that he can pocket Mo Salah again tomorrow night. I hope that Mo Salah and Liverpool aren't putting up those quotes on the wall of the changing room tomorrow night. We don't need anything to extra motivate Mo Salah. But one thing I will say, something that I've been impressed with in terms of Spence on the left, even though it's out of position really officially for him, what it does work really well for is the fact that because he's right-footed playing on the left, it does make him a better defender against those right-sided players who like to cut in, like Mo Salah. And actually, this is something Danny Kelly was saying on The View from the Lane, and I agree with him. I think that does make him suited to defend against those types of wingers. So I hope he can have another great performance tomorrow night. Okay, just before I give you the rest of the transfer deadline day roundup from some of the other clubs, guys, once again, I'm less than 900 subs away from 15,000. So please do give this video a like and press subscribe if you like transfer news, Premier League news, always, of course, starting with my beloved Tottenham Hotspur. Also, please do give me a subscribe or a follow on the podcast platforms. That is, could be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. Go over there, type in the Spurred On podcast, and give me a listen whilst you're out running or driving or walking the dog or whatever. Okay, Old Trafford is an interesting place at the moment. They didn't get their striker over the line, and now, according to The Guardian, they will still be open to selling Alejandro Garnacho and potentially even English midfielder Kobe Mainoo in the summer to get pure transfer profit through the door. Now, if that's the case, I think Tottenham will be interested in Mainoo for sure. We're looking for a brilliant number 6, aren't we? And although Ruben Amorim has been saying he doesn't really rate Mainoo at number 6, we saw how well he did in that position for England during the summer. Tyrell Malacia has joined PSV Eindhoven from Manchester United on loan, initially 10 million buy option. Manchester United apparently want their rejection of Benfica's unacceptable, apparently, loan offer for Tyrell Malacia to signify the end of them offloading players on unfavourable terms. There's a real issue at Man United since Ineos have come in. Ineos just trying to cut costs everywhere, refusing to, have the piss taken out of them, I guess, in terms of transfer dealings. But they're missing out on players, and the fans don't love Ineos at the moment. I have to say, it's not been a huge change from the Glazers, and I think the fact that Ineos have taken a 25% stake in the club and are in charge of football matters, but things haven't improved quickly, is it's really not helping them. I think the United fans are getting frustrated and thinking that maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe isn't that great an improvement on the Glazers. Who would have thought it? Okay, Chelsea apparently made a deadline day offer as well as for Matthias Tell, but also for Brazilian defender Murillo from Nottingham Forest. Would have been a club record sale for Forest. That's according to the Telegraph. Also, some news that could affect Spurs. Brazilian forward Matheus Cunha, who's 25, he is still keen to move to a bigger club despite signing a new Wolves contract. And what that clearly shows is that new contract will contain a release clause that will be active this summer. So I think that's another one where Tottenham will be interested, as well as all the big clubs, because Cunha is a player. Apparently, Man United and England forward Marcus Rashford, before signing for Aston Villa, rejected a move to a Turkish club. And there's some other bad news for Marcus Rashford, who did not look delighted in his press conference to be at Aston Villa, did he? He could apparently lose as much of 100%, of the sponsorship money he receives from Nike, because the sportswear giant considers Aston Villa a lower category of club than Man United. Nike apparently could also ask him to partially pay back some signing-on fee. Well, as I slag off Marcus Rashford for not looking that happy to be at Aston Villa, guess who he's going to make his debut against more likely than not at the weekend in the FA Cup? The script is written against Tottenham Hotspur. Let's hope he's not fit enough to start, because that looks like the kind of script that could come to bite us on the arse. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, do give this video a like if you haven't already. Thank you so much for your support. Also, please press subscribe, like I said, for daily transfer news, Premier League news, always starting with my beloved Tottenham Hotspur, of course. All the news coming from Spurs to you every single day. And from next week, guys, I will be doing these episodes live on YouTube every day from 12:30. So make a note. If you really love these videos, come and get involved live, and I will be talking to you guys in the chat whilst giving you the daily Tottenham Hotspur news, all the Premier League news, all the transfer news, because let's face it, even though the transfer window is shut, people like Johan Lange have to continue their job, and the interest and the rumours never, ever stop. All right, guys, thank you so much. Enjoy your hump day. Cheers.